away from here, who would take her in? It depresses Alice deeply to think how people's lives and all other enterprises, like life insurance, can last long enough to cancel themselves out. In the few minutes it took Alice to make an accounting of her life, dawn was delivered to this address. No matter what kind of night you're having, morning always wins. The garden Alice wishes she could abandon is crowded with bird music and other people's hungry animals. She feels like the queen of some pitiful, festive land. Welcome to heaven. For the first time in years, she thinks of Sugar Boss, her family tie. Sugar is a second cousin and the most famous citizen of Heaven, Oklahoma. Alice has her picture cut out of Life magazine, summer of '55. Sugar posed for a photographer with a pop bottle raised to her lips, leaning against the Welcome to Heaven sign, and was seen all over everywhere in the advertisement. They'd spent their last years of childhood together on the farm during the Depression. Of all the cousins, Alice and Sugar were closest, born a mere month apart. Alice stretches her legs, and it dawns on her that Sugar is still there in heaven. She could write her today. Something like that is as bad or as good as a telephone ringing in the night. Either way, you're not as alone as you think. Look up, Turtle. Angels. Taylor stoops to her daughter's eye level and points up at the giant granite angels guarding the entrance to the Hoover Dam. Let's take a picture. Turtle's tone warns off argument. She means she will take the photo. Taylor stands where she's placed and prepares to smile for as long as it takes. Since she found Turtle in her car and adopted her 3 years ago, she has had many moments of not believing she's Turtle's mother. But that's what miracles are, she supposes, the things nobody saw coming. A man in a wheelchair rolls toward them. The shutter clicks, releasing Taylor. "Are you the trip photographer?" the wheelchair man asks Turtle. Turtle presses her face into her mother's stomach. She's shy, Taylor says, like most major artists. "You two on a world tour?" he asks. "A small world tour. We're trying to see the Grand Canyon all the way around." He nods. They leave him to the angels and head for the museum. "Do not sit on whale," Turtle says, stopping to point at the wall. She's learning to read. "On wall," Taylor says. "Do not sit on wall." The warning is stenciled along a waist-high parapet that runs across the top of the dam. "I wish Jax was here," Turtle says solemnly. Jax is Taylor's boyfriend, a keyboard player in a band called the Irascible Babies. "I know," Taylor says, "but he'd just want to sit on the wall." For Taylor, looking over the edge is enough, hundreds of feet down. She grips her daughter's arm so protectively the child might later have marks. Turtle says nothing. She's been marked in life by a great many things, and Taylor's odd brand of maternal love is by far the kindest among them. Turtle's thin, dark arms and anxious eyebrows give her a pleading look, like a child in the magazine ads that tell how your 20 cents a day can give little Maria or Omar a real chance at life. Taylor would give years off her own life to know the story of Turtle's first 3 in eastern Oklahoma, where she's presumed to have been born. Her grip on Turtle is redundant, since Turtle always has a fist clamped onto Taylor's hand or sleeve. They cross to the museum. Outside the museum, a foil gum wrapper skates along the sidewalk. Lucky Buster sits on the ramparts of the Hoover Dam, trying to figure out how to save the day. People will throw anything on the ground, or even in the water. Lucky sits very still. He has his eye on a bright red soda pop can. Bad news. The people are all up above him. One girl is looking. Her round face can see him over the wall. He waves, but she bobs behind the mother and they go away. Nobody else is looking. He could go down there now. Lucky drops down and scoots along the gray wall that runs along the edge. One side is water. On the other side you fall into the hole. He is as careful as circus girls walking on wire. 1 foot, another foot. A white bird lands in front of Lucky. "Sss," he says to the bird, shaking his hands at it. Lucky is 2 steps away from the pop can. Now 1 step away. Now he's got it. The bird turns its head and looks straight at Lucky with a mean eye. The sun has dropped into the Nevada hills. Turtle and Taylor take one last stroll across Mr. Hoover's concrete dream. Turtle is holding on so tightly that Taylor's knuckles ache. This snap-jawed grip is a principle of their relationship. It won Turtle a nickname and then a mother. She hasn't deliberately let go of Taylor since they met. The Dodge, when they get back to it, is firecracker hot. Taylor opens both front doors and tries to fan cooler air onto the seat. The ice cream cone she bought Turtle was a mistake, she sees, but she's had to learn motherhood on a wing and a prayer in the last 3 years. Right now, her main philosophy is that everything truly important is washable. She hands Turtle a fistful of fast food napkins, but has to keep her eyes on the road once they get going. The Dodge Corona drives like a barge, and the road is narrow and crooked, as bad as the roads she grew up risking her neck on in Kentucky. Eventually, they level out on the Nevada plain. Turtle asks, "How will he get out?" "Will who get out?" "That man." "Which man is that, sweetheart?" Turtle looks mournfully at her ice cream cone. "He picked up a pop can and fell down the hole by the water." Taylor narrows her eyes at the road. "At the dam? You saw somebody fall?" "Yes. How will he get out?" "Honey, I really don't know what you mean. You saw somebody fall down a hole by the dam, but not into the water?" "Not the water, the big hole. He didn't cry." "Turtle, are you telling me the absolute truth?" Before she can manage an answer, Taylor U-turns the Dodge, furious at herself. She'll never ask Turtle that question again. After a few hours of cramped nightmares on the seat of the Dodge, Taylor and Turtle find the head grounds janitor in the employee parking lot. "Down the spillway?" he asks. "Can't be. We got a fence around that." "My daughter says this guy was about my age," Taylor says, looking at Turtle, who nods. "Long hair. He had on overalls and a bandana." "Oh, hell, that's Lucky Buster." He heads for the spillway. They follow him. "You know this guy?" Taylor asks. "Retarded guy. Oh, hell, I can't believe this. When?" "Last night. You know him?" "He's been hanging around here a couple weeks. He was driving me crazy. He's a little kid in his mind. You know what I mean? He has this thing about litter." He stops at the spillway, and they all look down at nothing. The janitor is trying hard to catch his breath. Oh, hell. At 10 o'clock Monday morning, 6 volunteers from the North Las Vegas Spelunking Club, plus 1 paramedic, emerge from the spillway. Taylor and Turtle are front row in the crowd pushing against the security fence. The rescuers look like miners, blacked with grit. The stretcher comes out of the hole as a long, stiff oval. Lucky Buster is wrapped in rubber rescue blankets and strapped down tightly. He can't stop blinking his eyes. That crowd on the fence is the brightest thing he has ever seen. 10 o'clock in Kentucky. The sun has barely started thinking about Arizona. She can't call yet. Alice saw something on the early morning news that disturbed her, and she needs to talk to Taylor. Time zones are a mean trick, she feels. It's hard for Alice to picture the portion of her life that still lies ahead. She knows that no woman with varicose veins and a brain in her head would walk away from a decent husband, but she's going to anyway. Aloneness is her inheritance, like the deep heart line across her palm. The Stamper women might nail themselves down to kin, but some mystery always cuts them loose from people in the long run. Alice married young and misguided, but with every intention of staying with her first husband, Foster Greer. As a husband, though, Foster made a career of what he called fresh starts. When he moved on from Pittman, Kentucky, Alice and the baby stayed. She'd believed that motherhood done fiercely and well would end her family's jinx of solitude. But kids don't stay with you if you do it right. She looks at the clock again. 7:30 in Tucson. She picks up the phone and dials. A baritone voice says, "Yo." That would be Jack's. "It's me, Alice." "Hey, pretty Alice, how's your life?" "It'll do," she says. She hasn't met Jack's and finds him hard to picture. He comes from New Orleans, and according to Taylor, he is tall and lanky and wears